All right. Are you serious? Are you serious? It's getting extremely serious down on Wall Street. The stock market is crazy. And the things that are happening there a little bit outside the box, maybe, or maybe not. We're going to find out more about that. But Elon Musk has weighed in this morning. Elon Musk slams the Robinhood CEO over that GameStop trading freeze. He says, quote, "The people demand answers." And it says Elon Musk threw a surprising bone to Reddit GameStop investors Monday, slamming Robinhood CEO and precisely why the trading app had halted buying for GameStop just as the stock was starting to rise. Do you want to hear the real story from Vlad, Robinhood, about what happened on the street? GameStop, says Elon Musk. So he invites people to come and talk to him. So what does that all mean? Well, you know what? We got to get an expert on this, because anytime you have a phenomenon situation that developed, and it certainly did with GameStop, and let's find out what we really need to know. And that's Bob Kudla's with us from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, welcome to GameStop. Welcome to the game. What's going on at Wall Street?
Okay, so this is much more complicated than these tweets. I'll get to Musk in a second. There's a bigger war at play here under the surface that actually Musk has, he has skin in that game. But I'm going to back up and just explain to people how some of this stuff works, and why Robinhood may be culpable and may be stupid and may have made mistakes. They weren't necessarily intentionally trying to screw the Robinhood traders up. There was a reason why they got caught when they did and how they did. So I want to just back up and start talking about short selling in and of itself.
Okay.
In and of itself, short selling is not a bad thing. If you didn't have short selling, the stock market would be wildly volatile, because you don't have the cushion of somebody making a bet against the stock, number one. And number two, the market makers need to have and to be able to create liquidity. So when they're taking the other sides of these trades of people, it doesn't necessarily go from me to you. It goes from me to a market maker to you sometimes too. And so they have to hedge their positions, and so if they're buying something, they're shorting something till they can sell it to the third party. So you need short sellers in the market, and plus it's okay to have these speculators in there too. Okay, so what happened with GameStop has nothing to do with short selling bad. It has everything to do with the amount of shares that are available to trade. So the first culprit here is the brokerage firms. When you buy, this is something most people don't know. When you own stock in a brokerage firm, unless you hold the stock in your name, you don't really own the stock. It's just you're a creditor. You're a creditor, you're a collateralized creditor to the broker, and your collateral is the stock, but you don't own it. If a broker would go bankrupt on you and you own the stock, it has to go through a process for you to get your stock back or your cash back, or through these SIPC.
So you don't actually own the stock. You're buying into the broker who owns the stock.
Right, it's because the way, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. But so that's number one. And so what you do when you sign a brokerage agreement, unless you otherwise opt out, you're giving them the option of taking shares that are held in their name, and they can lend it out to a short seller. Okay, so that's what happens. So, but you can't sell more shares than you own. So if there's only a million shares out there, if in a GameStop situation, let's say there's a million shares out there, what they call on the float, well, 1.4 million of them were shorted. Well, somebody over at Reddit World, took the information, which is publicly available, and said, hey, these guys are trapped, because you have to give back your shares. And, when you short it, that's your requirement. You can't give them cash back. You have to actually give them the physical shares back. Well, some brokerage firm or brokerage firms, either independently or in collusion, gave them more shares than they were allowed to even short. To all the short sellers, more than just Melvin Capital. So either it happened because nobody's counting each other's stuff, or it was in collusion. But that's the first crime. That is against the law, okay? So in a real world, you were joking with them, well, anybody go to prison on this stuff? No, because they all buy off the politicians. But if you do it right, that should never have happened. It should have been stopped at a certain ratio. That's why GameStop went from $5 to $20 to $400, because everybody realized they're trapped. They can't. It's impossible for them unless the company dilutes their shares by doing what's called secondary offerings.
Right.
They can't trade enough shares. So what the GameStop thing is.
In other words, they split the shares, and that creates more shares.
Well, no, when you split the share, that cuts the price in half. You literally say, I'm going to sell more shares to you, Paul, and then we agree on that price, and that's what comes out. Until GameStop does that, the GameStop thing is not done yet. It ain't going down to $5 or $20 until GameStop decides that they want to go ahead and sell more shares out to the market, and they have more cash into the business to create enough shares for these guys to get out. Eventually, that's what we'll see what happens. So that's those are the first crooks, are the brokerages that allowed more shares to be sold than were really available to be sold short. Okay? If you do all the math, there's too many. It's just like you as a farmer having 100 acres and you sell 200 acres worth of corn, but you're the only cornfield. Okay? Yep. And then somebody says, well, I want the corn.
Well, we don't have the corn.
You got to knock on every door in the world saying, can I get corn from your house? Sure, but its price is going to go up.
Right. Okay,
so that's the first problem. The second thing is these short sellers knew that they were caught. And they shouldn't have done that, because they have to report. So they knew that they overdid it. So that's what happens. So you get caught. Typically, you never see these things get caught, Paul, because what happens is that the price goes down, you take your profit. Well, this guy got greedy. This Lotkin guy, or whoever it is, Plotkin guy, he got greedy. He got it from $20 to $5. He thought he was an evil genius, right? And then he got caught. And so normally what people do when you're a short seller is you hedge it. Hey, if it gets to 30, I'm out. Or if it gets to 30, I have calls in there that will protect me on the way up, and I'll ride this storm out, because what I'm losing on the short side, I'm gaining on the call side. Okay? Yep. And then you kind of wait it out. Well, he didn't hedge his position. I don't think any of them did. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, that's another crime, because regulations, their prime broker or the people who lend them money, or their board of directors or their risk officer should have never let them do that. You get SEC, those are violations of CFTC, SEC, those are all violations, So that's the second crime that happened. Okay, now we bring Robinhood into this. So Robinhood's sitting there, and how they make their money is not on commissions anymore, as everybody knows. They make all their money on selling your information to Citadel, and the interest they earn on shorting your stock. Because you have to realize that was 100% annualized interest rate on shorting. When I borrow shares as a short seller, I'm paying an interest rate back to the broker. Okay, that's his fee for doing it. Some of them split with their shareholders, their customers, many don't. And that's how they make their money. It's okay if you all know that. I have no problem. TD Ameritrade does that. I want zero commissions. I don't care if they're nicking a penny off my trade. I don't care if they're making interest on the short selling. That's fine. I understand that's the rules of the game. I'm in. Not a problem. So what happens, though, is 40% of Robinhood's customers were now engaged in the GameStop game. Uh-oh. So what happens now is that, remember I was talking about you don't really own your shares? Well, you bring this other entity in called the DTCC. They're the clearinghouse for all stock trades, but they don't clear immediately. Like if you do cryptocurrency, if I buy and somebody else sells, it's immediately closed, cleared, you move on. It doesn't work that way in the stock world. Everything gets bundled that day and then gets sent up to the DTCC. Then they spend a day reorganizing all that stuff, getting it to where it needs to go, because the person that bought it may be from a different brokerage than the person who sold it, okay? And then that comes back, and that's what you ever hear of that T+2, the people that might be listening and say they have a cash account. Why does it take 3 days for me to be able to trade again? Well, that's why. One day it goes up to them, one day they mess around with it, the next day it comes back down, the third day you get to trade your money again. So many trades were happening to Robinhood that day that they ran out of capital, because every time that trade happens, even if the price doesn't go anywhere, it's like cumulative, okay, of the potential. It's called basically the nominal thing, even though it may all wash out at the end. But DTCC doesn't know that. They keep a real-time ticker of what's going on, and they called them and said, you got to put more money in. That's when Robinhood said they tapped all their credit lines, brought the money in, still wasn't enough. Then they panicked. And they probably got a call from Citadel, who owns Melvin Capital, by the way. This is where it gets all weird. So there's all this big daisy chain going around. Everybody has their hand in each other's pocket. Mostly ours. But all around the daisy chain,
right.
That phone call saying, get this thing fixed. So they panicked. And they're like, and they just basically shut down GameStop, okay? But what happened when they did that was the short sellers were delighted, because when there was no more buyers, all you could do is sell, and price started to come down. Right. That's the lawsuit, okay? That's the lawsuit that's happening, because they should have shut GameStop down completely. The regulators should have came in on top of Robinhood and everybody else, said, this stock's too hot. We're doing a 3-day moratorium.
Who could have done that? The government? You're saying the government regulators?
Well, the Security Exchange Commission should have came in and basically said, hey, AMCC, GameStop, Nokia, all these, Kodak, these are all too hot. You're burning the system out. Okay, too much speculation. We're doing 72-hour cooling off period. What that would allow to happen is to all those brokerage be able to get all their transactions back, all their capital back in. Yep. But they didn't do that. They let these brokers twist in the wind. Robinhood was just very exposed. So that's what he did. So he was playing by the rules, but his mistake was he could have very early on basically said, I'm just not allowing any trades, because they have the discretion. Robinhood has the discretion. He got greedy. Nobody thought it was going to do what it did. So the Reddit people broke the system. So now what's going to happen is these lawsuits are going to come through. They're probably going to change capital requirements. They're probably going to make it harder for people to do these games. They're definitely going to look at the short sellers to find out how this got broken and fix it. They're going to definitely check on their risk management policies and make probably more disclosures on it. But GameStop was an anomaly. Usually people aren't that stupid, right? The Melvin Capital people are, if anybody has money with them, they should be thinking very seriously.
Getting it out of there.
Getting out of there, because why would you ever do something unhedged like that? That's like living life and not being a Christian. You're unhedged for eternity, okay? And so that's the story behind it. So GameStop is probably the Lehman moment of 2021. It's exposing the greed. Now, what everybody doesn't know is how many more of them are lurking out there, and that's these conversations are happening right now. That's why you saw in the last 2 days the stock market just did this boom. And all the stocks that were being shorted kind of got quiet. They're in there right now saying, we got to calm this thing down. And then we got to get to all these short sellers and say, you start hedging up. You start reducing exposure. You start getting calls in there. Because it has these virtuous effects. If you start buying calls, the market makers actually have to sell the stock. So it gets, people don't know all the daisy chains that are behind the scenes. If you buy a call option, they're selling you the call option, and then they're buying, to protect themselves, and it works in reverse. And when you sell the stock, so when you start doing some of these things, you start evening out some of the exposure, and that's what you start hearing people talking about gamma. Gamma is kind of like the Doppler effect. As you get closer to the target, it gets more intense. That's when people say you heard a gamma squeeze. That's where gamma comes from. It's basically an acceleration of the change in the stock price toward where all the options are sitting. Okay, that's the other thing they didn't do. That's where the market makers were dirty, is that they never raised the price of these calls to make them too expensive for people to trade them. And so people start rethinking, hey, that's too expensive for me. I won't make money when it gets there. And that kills speculation too. So I hope that helps your audience kind of understand this, is that this episode's done, but it exposes things. But the good news is that it's going to curtail the ability of the Biden administration from doing some of the crazy stuff they're going to do, because we now have a point now where there's going to be a burden on the financial system from some of the stuff getting exposed. So there is a good guy in it for the good people.
Folks, Bob Kudla's with us, folks. TradeGeniusAcademy.com. That's www.TradeGeniusAcademy.com. He can help you, train you with some great tools and algorithms so that if you want to be trading out there, you can become a genius like Bob. And then you'll be able to know where to get in and where to get out. Bob, I'm just looking at some of the things. Again, stock market is at 30,700 and something right now. It's up about 100, maybe 120 points. Gold is up $1,843 an ounce. Silver, even though it went up to almost 30, I think, today it's come down a little bit. It's at 2650, something like that. And Bitcoin is holding around $37,000 a coin. So have we seen, now that the Biden administration's in, and we've had our first almost 2 weeks here, are we beginning to settle in and realize he's not going to be able to rush and raise taxes with? I'm hearing today that West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin is very close to switching to the Republican Party. That Vice President Kamala Harris slammed him on live TV in West Virginia. Joe is extremely upset. The West Virginia people would probably love it if he did switch parties, and that would change who's in the majority of the Senate. What's your thought on this? I mean, is the Biden administration going to be kind of hamstrung with their ability to do too much radical stuff?
Yeah, look, it's funny. We were talking about that this week. It's one thing about being a bird, right? And chirping at the cat, right? And because you don't have any responsibility. Now they're in charge. They're in charge of it all. Yeah. And now you're starting to see, maybe we're not as monolithic as we let on. You got to realize, if Pelosi loses 3 House members next election, the House flips Republican. So it's not exactly like she has this this train behind her. People will start flaying off here pretty soon, especially people that are thinking that they're going to lose their seats, for redistricting, which there's like 12 or 13 seats in Democrat areas that are simply going to go away. And they're all moving to Florida and Texas and Arizona and stuff like that. So, but to answer your question is that, look, they killed the Keystone Pipeline. They immediately put the unions against them, right? Even Montana Senator Tester is saying, I don't understand how this is going to stop climate change. We have 10,000 jobs, Then they killed the border wall. More union jobs going away. 2,000 jobs going away. Then they go ahead and they kill fracking. The New Mexico governor is like, wait a minute, you're going to make me bankrupt. What are you thinking?
But and also, Biden said he would not do it. I remember he was being called. He first said he would. Then they called him out and he said, no, read my lips. I won't do this. Well, it didn't take long. He did it.
Yeah, what he did was he kind of split it down the middle and just pissed off everybody. So what he did was said only on federal land, and the moratorium only for 60 days. So he probably did that because knowing he just wanted to probably put the finger up to see, anyway, and Pennsylvania's in the same place. So every policy they're trying to enact is getting pushback. And then this thing about the $2,000 thing, well, now you have 5 Democratic senators saying, we're kind of coming out of this. Do we really need to put so much risk in this thing? And then here's the other thing too, and I'm being strictly political here. I'm not trying to be anything with race or anything like that. You have to understand, the Democrats, the urban African American community made Biden win the election. okay? He owes them. But he has a problem, because if he just pays them off, what about all the other Democrats that are in rural districts or suburban districts that aren't getting the same payoff? You see what I'm saying?
So you're talking about states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin.
Yes. Yeah, so you're asking people to take money out of your pocket by raising taxes to give to somebody else, right? And the problem they have now is that because the Democrats are all about identity politics, they've created their own divisions within their own ranks. Well, guess what? The easiest thing to do is nothing's going to happen. And then the African American community is going to say, damn, at least Trump was going to do something for me. These people aren't going to do anything for me once again. And this is the reason why they can never do it, because they built such a hodgepodge of support that they can't do it. Where Trump could easily went in and just talk to the American people. Look, hey, we're going to give these people some benefit here because they've been screwed over for years, right? But it's not going to cost you anything. We're just going to grow our way through this together.
Right.
Well, that's not what the Democrats think. Trump thinks win-win. Democrats think win-lose. And everything about them is about how do I screw you to benefit the people that are going to vote for me. That's just their mentality. That's the evil within them.
Because they don't believe in the entrepreneur spirit. They don't believe that if you fuel business, that the better business does, the more people get hired. They don't understand that the better business does, you don't have to raise taxes. The better business is doing, more revenue flows into their kitty. All they got to do is just go to school and learn common 101 economics. Look, I'm not an accountant. I'm not anything to do with economics, but it's not hard to figure out. And oh, by the way, people don't like you reaching in their pocket, pulling money out of their pocket and throwing it over here. But if you talk to them, as Trump did, and say, look, we got some areas of our country that need some help. And what I want to do is I want to deregulate some of the things that's tripping you up in business so that as you grow, that'll give us more money to give also into these other areas. Business people say, hey, that sounds good. I'll work with you. You know, you're helping me do a little better. I'm fine with sharing the wealth. It's real easy. And Bob, of course, that's not what we've seen. And now here we are with the tax to spend mentality. Bob Kudla, here's the guy, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Let's talk about some of the trades, Bob. First of all, you've got specials going for Valentine's. Tell us about these.
Yeah, so we put together 7 bundle specials for Saturday expiration. So it's a week before, but it's Valentine's Day is the promo code you can use. So we'll show you a week early. And so you want to trade stocks with us or cryptocurrencies, day trade with us, you want extra training, those are those 7 bundles. And what we give you is, we'll give you trade signals as you're learning the system. And basically every day, I put 2 or 3 out again today. Our chat rooms are running 24/7 for crypto, basically, 24/5 for the stock market. And then we also have our indicators, our algorithms, and we put those out there. And Paul, we just expanded the number of the indicators and alerts that we have available for our subscribers. I mean, this thing is beautiful. So no matter how you like to trade, if you're a day trader, swing trader, long swing trader, investor, you like to trade off of levels, you like to trade off our algorithm, you like to trade off of momentum. We have indicators for all that we use, and we teach you how to use it. It's part of what you pay for. And then you can find trades that we're not in. The ultimate goal is for we basically pull back the curtain, and give you the tools, and then you're just along for the ride with us, interacting, getting trades from us, and also finding your own trades. But you'll do extremely, extremely well. I threw you some stuff what I sent you was what people sent to me over the weekend. Okay.
Wow.
Just a sample. I could give you 5 times as many. Where we're just what we charge for the service is pretty nominal compared to what you get out of it. And a lot of people, first trade or 2 they make with us, they're basically paying for a year's worth of service. So we definitely make it worth your while, and it's fun. We're a lot of us are all like-minded how we view the world, and we all want to help each other. The rooms are professional. People are helping each other. If somebody asks a question in a room, somebody else will answer before I can even get to it. So everybody kind of lifts each other up, and that's virtuous, and so it works out really well. But we discounted these things 65% off for the bundle, 40% off for the non-bundle. Absolutely worth your time to do, and you'll like it too. It's a community that you get to. You're free to express yourself. Is that a good way of saying it?
Good way to say it.
Yeah.
And feed off, and people feed off one another, the energy. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. Whenever the GameStop stock was starting to rise, I mean, you guys are day traders, so you don't know what's going on. You don't know who's doing what out there. You just see a stock going. Do you guys jump in and then sell later in the day? Did it happen?
When that thing started to go, actually, I told everybody to stay away because the volatility picks up. And doing this for 31 years and having a service for 12, I know people intuitively will be a little late just because they're unsure themselves. And even if I say, hey, I'm going to jump in on GameStop, which I did not, is that people may not get it for 15 or 20 minutes sometimes. And they may jump in.
Is it because of the delay in the system?
They might be on the phone.
So that's
the get it from me instantaneously, but some people can't react to it that second. And you have to, I better pull my brokerage account up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or in a meeting and I saw Bob signal out GameStop, I better jump on it.
But isn't that what your company, TradeGeniusAcademy.com, that's what you teach people, though, those that follow your system, on how they can do quick reaction much better.
Yeah, absolutely. They get similar. In fact, one guy yesterday, he was trading GameStop all day. He was buying 100 shares every time it dipped. Every time he got a buy signal on my system on the 1 minute chart, he was buying them. He said he made $1,800 in 4 hours. Now, I'm not saying that's normal. I'm just saying that's the kind of volatility it was. I tell people, we actually find these squeeze opportunities before the Reddit guys do. So I have access to the same data that everybody else has access to, but we put a filter over it, our own filter. So we find trades that they have not yet found. And so we enter those trades, and then they find them, and then we get out. So we don't get greedy. It's like, we had SunPower last week, we had OPK, yesterday we did WTHR, and these are, 5, 6, 7% one day trades. And you have to realize too, about 50% of my clients really can't day trade. They don't have enough money in their account. It's unfair for me just to pump out day trades so I can show people how much money I make, right? So I try to do trades that these people can hold overnight. So I kind of self-limit myself, Paul, so that everybody can participate in everything that I push out. Occasionally, you don't have a choice. You get a trade. Some trades were in 5 minutes and it already hits the target. That's just kind of lucky. Yeah. But most of them look for stuff 2 or 3 days. So I try to be fair to all my customers. I have a day trading room that costs more that people can then interact like we're talking. Then yeah, sure, I can just say get it, but not I'm typing it in. People, they have less than 25,000. They can't, if they do it more than 3 times, they get their account locked. So I'm really sensitive to people, and I don't want to show a result up there saying, wow, he's just killing it. Well, you couldn't follow those trades. So am I really killing it? No. You know what I mean? So, and that's an integrity issue for me. I can't.
I think that's really good, because if half of your followers are going to be more about buying 1 or 2 trades a day and waiting until the next day or the day after before they sell, you don't want to run off and leave them with the guys that have more deeper pockets who want to move stuff fast. So I think that's what's great. But you also do give opportunity to those guys, and you got those players as well.
Yeah, we have a different report, a different moderator, and they're banging away. But if I see a good short squeeze trade that I know is going to last for a couple days, I throw them in the room. We did SunPower, WTHR, OPK. All those were 5 to 7% trades, all overnight holds. We hopped off. The Reddit boys find it. We're gone.
See, you're good at that. That's what's so good. I think it's because, and that's why I think Bob is so good, folks, because he can be more agile than a larger corporation or company that it's got to go through several levels yet before they make that call. Bob can make that call quick and get out ahead of it and can see it coming. Plus your expertise, I think you're able to see things a little bit ahead of all those guys. Anyway, you've been around a long time.
Yeah, and we put the algorithm out there so they can set their own alerts. Sometimes they're getting them the same time I'm getting them. They're getting in. So we teach you how to be Bob.
Yep, how to be Bob. Trade Genius. How you become a genius, folks? Go to www.tradegeniusacademy.com. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. Again, he's showing you a lot of love this month because he's saying this is all the way till after Valentine's Day. Okay, he's taking you all the way to the 15th of February. So you're showing the love early. You're romancing your followers. I love what you're doing here, Bob. It's a good thing, and people can really learn from it. And if you don't know how to trade at all, you've never done it, Bob can help get you started. And that's what's so great about these bundles, these packages.
Yeah, we can teach you in a couple weeks how to do it. We already have the courses all laid out. They're all 5 to 7 minutes long, and you self-taught. And if you don't remember something, you just go back into that thing. Hey, before you let me go, I just want to tell people about silver because you were kind of getting that direction. End of February will be very interesting for silver. You know, this thing popped on silver. They try to beat it back down. But what's happening is people bought so much physical silver, and so many people are going into SLV right now that SLV, the custodian, may take all the silver that was ever mined this year into its vaults. And at some point, they're going to have to jam the price higher because we know that's fraudulent too. And they can't make it so obvious. They try to beat it down, but now you got the Reddit guys. Reddit added went from 2 million to 10 million users in 2 days. Well, a lot of these people are silver nuts. A lot of these people are angry at Wall Street, and a lot of people will take it out on them saying, look, I own silver anyway. I don't care if I buy more silver. If I can screw Wall Street by blowing up their silver fraud, I'm going to do it. And so that's the next thing coming. So if people keep buying SLB or buying it from the vaults, it's going to cause a squeeze. We've had these in platinum and palladium in the past. If we have it in silver, you're looking potential doubles on this stuff in weeks.
Yeah.
So and they're already at maximum number of shares that they sold short. They've already sold short more than I think 100 contracts short for every piece of silver. Whatever, I think it's 1,000 ounce per contract that they have available to provide. So we're at a point where this is like Bernie Madoff kind of stuff.
Yep.
And because it's government sanctioned, they've been able to get away with this thing for many, many, many years. And so, but they can lose control. It's like they lost control of the platinum.
Fast, because people are starting to call the note, if you will. They're calling for the physical silver. Ship it to me. I want it now. And so now they've sold more silver than they actually have in the vaults. And that's a run on the silver. And I expect, matter of fact, this weekend, Heidi we were talking about that, and she said, hey, there's something going on with silver. And she went to eBay. I said, let me see. She went to eBay to find just U.S. Mint silver bullion, $62. The cheapest one you could have bought would have been $62 one physical ounce on eBay. That meant there's a shortage of actual physical silver. And so you're saying keep an eye on silver because something might happen in the end of the month. So maybe this is the time to buy. It's $26. Might be a time to buy now, guys.
Yeah, well, if you buy it, the only place you really get it at discount here is actually buying SLV. Because you can't get it at AppMex. It's $40 there.
Safe.
So you're talking premium to 60% over spot price. That'll get regulators' attention. They won't be able to hide that, so they're going to have to fix it. They fix it by trying to beat it up, but now people are sweet to the game. And just like in 2011. The more the Biden talk, that's why I talk about constraint. The more the Biden administration talks about the spending money we don't have, the more pressure they're going to put on these markets. Look at oil today. Oil is going through the roof. So they lose control of food prices, oil prices. They start taxing people, and they start seeing precious metals go. It's a mess. So unfortunately for us, we don't have to worry about being in a mess. We need to profit and protect our families by being in these things. And so to tell people, take heart, they're losing. And don't go crazy, don't over leverage yourself, but you always want to have some exposure to crypto, some exposure to the metal market, some exposure to these stocks, and be very careful of the FANG stocks. Next month, we'll talk about why they're going to be in big trouble. Okay.
All right. Bob, thank you for some really good insight. Appreciate it. It's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. Take advantage of this specials he's running through Valentine's Day, okay? And get involved. You can see things are starting to maneuver, things are happening, and it'd be a good time to get in and learn how you can participate for your family. Bob, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
All right. Bye-bye. February 5th and 6th, 2021, a webinar you can't miss. It's going to talk about the virus, the vaccines, the victims, and the victory as we bring in scientists and biblical scholars to unearth the vulnerabilities of the population and verifiable evidence of what's taking place. You need to know what's going to happen. Don't miss it.